In today's show, the Blazers get a win, their first one of the season. It was pretty dang fun. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. Listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Coming at you Monday through Friday, free on all platforms, including YouTube. Make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same as Locked On Blazers. Your team every day. In today's show, the Blazers get a win. A win! After 3 rough ones to start the season, the Blazers go into Toronto on the second night of a back-to-back. Get a victory in Jurassic Park. It was fun. Jeremy Grant played well. Deandre Ayton played well. Malcolm Brogdon closed the door. Scoot Henderson had the best game of his very young career. Toumani Camara showed out. Shaedon Sharpe had a couple nice plays. Listen, it was fun and well-earned fun. We'll do our fastest recap in the West to kick off the show, talk about Deandre Ayton and everyone who played well in the second segment. And then I want to discuss, to close the show, a winning formula. The Blazers get their first win. They beat the Raptors. They get a win on the road. A real exhale if you've been following this team after it felt like it could be a while. Did they discover a formula? Do we see something that looks like a formula, or what did exactly we see, and what is the Blazers' winning formula? That's what we'll talk about to close the show. But first, let's do what we do. Fastest recap in the West. Blazers win 99-91. That's right. You don't need triple digits in the NBA in 2023 to win this one. Blazers down 25-21 after one, down 50-47. Stayed in the fight into halftime and allowed themselves to gave themselves an opportunity to have a big old third quarter to take the lead and never give it back. They outscored the Raptors 33-24 in the third quarter, right out of the halftime gates, to take a 6-point lead, 80-74 heading into the fourth. Matisse Thybulle hit 2 threes in the third quarter. Jeremy Grant had 8 points in the third quarter. Malcolm Brogdon came off the bench. He made all of his shots and had 7 in the third quarter. Scoot Henderson, 6 assists and just 1 turnover in the third quarter. The thing was rolling. They got it rolling. They only scored 99 points. So to do it all, to have 33 in the third, you know that there was the rest of it was a bit of a slog, but they go to the fourth quarter up 6, 80-74, and they do not give it away. They do not give it away. This is a team that we just in Philly on Sunday nights, they were kind of vaguely in it, even just straight up in it in heading into halftime, and they got walloped in the third quarter, and it was no longer competitive. It was kind of the same deal in against the Clippers. Once it got out of hand, and it was done. And against Orlando, the Blazers couldn't get all the way back after finding themselves behind. But in this game, they get a lead, they keep that lead, and they don't give it up. And twice Toronto got within 1, including under 3 minutes. The Blazers offense has been a slog to open the fourth quarter. Just cannot buy a bucket with anybody out there. Cannot score. They finally come down. Jeremy Grant gets a corner three, pretty well contested, but a corner three he can make. Catch and shoot quickly. One of those non-dip threes from Jeremy where he catches it high, keeps it high, and shoots it. Cash. Blazers go up by 4 with 2:41 left, and they're not going away because Malcolm Brogdon is going to score the 6 straight points for them to make sure that the Raptors can't get all the way back. First, gets to the rim on a drive. Then the Blazers, on an offensive rebound by Deandre Ayton, a theme of the final 2 minutes that really saved their bacon. He gets an offensive rebound, kicks it out to Malcolm Brogdon, gets an offensive rebound. Malcolm Brogdon cuts, finds Brogdon on a great cut, great pass from DA. Brogdon scores. Blazers back up 6. Toronto goes down and gets a bucket. What do the Blazers do? They get an ugly shot with the clock ticking under a minute, but DA, another rebound for Deandre Ayton, one of his 23 in this one, kicks it back out to Malcolm Brogdon. He says, okay, fine, I'm getting to the rim, and get to the rim he does, seals the game with a layup to put them up 6. Raptors have to foul Jeremy Grant at the end of the game, and he hits 2 free throws to seal it, 99-91. Jeremy Grant finished with 22, a team-high 22 points to go with 6 rebounds for Jeremy Grant. Malcolm Brogdon, 21 points, 5 assists off the bench. Deandre Ayton, 10 points, 23 boards, including 7 offensive rebounds, including 2 in the final 2 minutes that when the Blazers just couldn't get first shots to fall, made sure they had second possession, so Malcolm Brogdon brought him home. 10 and 23 boards for Deandre Ayton. Shaedon Sharpe, 14 points. Scoot Henderson, best game of his young career, 11 points, 7 assists, 2 steals. Fouled out in 35 minutes, turned the ball over 4 times. He still is a work in progress, but this was the best game he has played. Toumani Camara, just a freaking great game. 3.7 boards, plus 12 in 23 minutes. He was great. I thought Jabari Walker doesn't show up in the box score, but he was really solid. He finished with 4, and Skylar Mays 5 in 11 minutes. No Rob Williams in this game. Second night of a back-to-back, the Blazers held him out, so they went with no backup center, just a bunch of Jabari Walker and Toumani Camara minutes off the bench. On the Raptors side, 20 points for Scotty Barnes to go with 12 boards, 20 for Pascal Siakam, but on 29 field goal attempts, he finished with 6 boards and 3 assists. 10 for OG Anunoby, 14 and 10 for Jakob Poeltl, 10 and 8 assists for Dennis Schroeder off the bench. Not a lot of help for the Dinosaurs. Grady Dick had 4, Gary Trent Jr. had 3, Malachi Flynn had 6, Chris Boucher had 4, and Jalen McDaniels went scoreless in 5 minutes. That's your fastest recap. In the West, golly gee, DeAndre Ayton, 23 boards, controlling the glass late. I will say, I don't think DeAndre had like a super loud 23 rebound night. Sometimes guys will get 23 boards and you're like, he's everywhere. I thought this was someone who understood what the job was going to be. No Rob Williams. Moses Brown not going to play. He's not. He would be out of his depth in a game in an NBA game at this point. You knew the Blazers were going to go small, and so if DeAndre Ayton was on the court, he was going to be the biggest Blazer by a lot, right? They weren't going to show those 2 big lineups, the biggest Blazer by a lot. And so what he did was made sure he got rebounds, made sure he was active. Portland has had trouble getting DA just involved. Some of it is that he needs a better pick and roll partner than Scoot Henderson is capable of being. He doesn't really have a great pick and roll chemistry with Brogdon. I don't think Ayton has rolled super hard to the rim. He's kind of stopped and tried to find his spots in the mid-range. That's where his touch is and where his comfort zone is. He's taken 1 free throw in 4 games. He's not attacking the rim super hard. It's never been his style. He had one tonight unguarded where he decided to lay it in. It's just who he is, right? And he's not a dunker. But and again, this wasn't like this maestro performance on offense. 10 points on 5 of 9 shooting, but did what he was supposed to do. Understood the assignment, as the kids say. Like, really just came in there and went to work, controlled the glass, and particularly, like I said, I don't think it was like the super loud game, but when the Blazers needed it, and when it was getting dicey. And it was getting dicey. Like, the offense was so rough in that fourth quarter. Neither team cracked the 20-point mark. The Blazers had 19, Raptors 17 in the fourth quarter. A real gross one, to be honest, in the final 12 minutes. But the Blazers held on despite shooting 6 of 20 in the fourth quarter. They made 4 shots in the final 3 minutes. So in the first 9 minutes of the fourth quarter, 2 field goals. But DA during the biggest moments got offensive rebounds to keep the Blazers' chances alive, and then Malcolm Brogdon delivered. That's what you want from him. I don't think the Blazers have. I don't think they figured out. I don't think Chauncey Billups has figured out what to do with DeAndre and how to maximize what he brings and how to get him shots. And they've tried to give him post touches, and he's he wants to play his face up game. They've tried to run pick and rolls with him, but he just, like I said, doesn't have the right pick and roll partner. But if they can't figure it out, whether it's personnel or coaching or the actual answer, which is both together as one, working together, DA's got to do other stuff. And tonight, grabbing 23 boards, 7 offensive, 16 defensive, that's other stuff. A freaking great game. Great game from him. I think Portland needed it, and DeAndre Ayton delivered. Malcolm Brogdon also delivered in this game, and Jeremy Grant as well, and Toumani Camara and Jabari Walker. I want to talk about them. I want to talk a little bit about Scoot Henderson too. Let's, this is a good vibes show. let's talk more good vibes in the second segment. Listen, if you're rocking with this Blazer team, you know that it's going to be a bumpy patch. So when they do win, I'm going to take it upon me to enjoy the wins, and hopefully you can too. Let's keep enjoying this one. We'll enjoy it to the tune of Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon a little bit in the second segment. First, let me tell you about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. So here's what you do. You go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. You pick a NFL team to win a game. That's what the money line is. You say straight up, my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win Thursday night against the Tennessee Titans. You put your $5 down, and when you win, you get $150 if and when the fighting Steelers get a victory on Thursday Night Football. If you think about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. When you get that $150, you'll be able to use it on a wide range of bets, spreads, player props, over-unders, more. You can live bet games. You can bet futures bets, whatever you're looking for. So that website, one more time for you, is FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. All right. So, I thought DA was his best game of his Blazers tenure. They're still figuring it out. Will they figure it out? I don't know. But they're certainly still figuring it out. But he wasn't alone. Malcolm Brogdon continues to be just what the Blazers need. If Anthony Simons was healthy, Malcolm Brogdon probably wouldn't be in the closing lineup, or he would be in the closing lineup, and it would be a decision that Chauncey Billups would have to make to take Scoot out. I think it would be a relatively easy decision to take Scoot out of the game. He has not been very good. But it's clear when Simons is out, he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, if not longer, that Malcolm Brogdon is going to be the guy they go to in crunch time. He's just their best on-ball creator. Shaedon Sharpe shows flashes of it, but his handle isn't strong enough and his playmaking ability isn't quite there yet, although Malcolm Brogdon is looking to score. Don't get it twisted. He's not looking to share, particularly when the game's on the line. He's looking to score. It's not going to be Scoot. He's just making too many mistakes, and he's just not there yet, although he was good in this game. More on him in a moment. But down the stretch, they're going to play 3 guards, right? This is Chauncey Billups. The 2 games that have been close down the stretch, this is the teams he's closed, the lineups he's closed with. It's Brogdon, it's Scoot, it's Shaedon Sharpe, it's Jeremy Grant, and it's Deandre Ayton, and it's a lot of Malcolm Brogdon trying to get everybody in line and make it happen. And tonight he delivered with 6 straight points in the final 2 minutes, or 3 straight baskets, I should say, because Toronto scored on the other end. But 3 straight baskets for the Blazers when they needed him, and he was money, right? Got to the rim, said, "I don't need a screen. I can blow by. Gary Trent can't keep me in front. I can get to the right side of the rim." He went right side of the rim, finished with his left hand, the anti-Damian Lillard, and he delivered. And Brogdon he's a steadying presence. He knows what he wants to do, right? Like the best version of Malcolm Brogdon is that you give him the ball, let him go. He's a guy who can score, and he kind of needs the screen, rescreen, see it type of thing, because he plays at his own pace, which is a thing that you say when someone plays slow. He delivers, and he's going to be part of that crunch time group, and he was really good today. Jeremy Grant was, what's a nice way to say this? He was buns to begin the season. In the first 2 games of the year, I thought Jeremy Grant was just out there coasting. Like he either didn't know where he was going to be involved, or didn't care to be involved, or just was just out there on vibes, and the vibes were chill. I think the last 2 games, Jeremy has played a lot better. I thought against Philly, he didn't play great, but his approach was way better. He was much more aggressive going to the rim. He didn't play the entire fourth quarter because they were getting waxed. So, he only played 3 quarters in the game, and they got out of hand pretty quickly. But I thought his approach was really good in against Philly. He didn't dance and take a bunch of difficult 15-footers. He doesn't have this incredible handle that's going to get him free, right? He's kind of a one move guy. Cross, go. Hang dribble, go. When Jeremy Grant tries to dance, he loses the ball. He almost did that in the final 2 minutes tonight. Picked it up off the ground, literally fell down, losing the ball, picked it up off the ground, threw up a desperation 3 late clock. Deandre Ayton gets the rebound and saves the day, finding Malcolm Brogdon. But Jeremy Grant, when he plays, when it's a one move, one decision, cross and go, he can be pretty good. Still hasn't shot well from three. 2 of 8 from 3 tonight. But 6 of 10 on twos, got to the free throw line and took 4 free throws, finished with 22 points on 8 of 18 shooting. He could be more efficient and he can make more threes. If he makes another 3 and ends up 3 of 8 from 3, it's a pretty darn good shooting night. And he finishes with 25 points. He finished with 25 and 6. You're not going to nitpick 25 and 6. He was much better in this game. I think one of the challenges is that Jeremy Grant's comfort zone is that mid-range, and it seems like Deandre Ayton's comfort zone is also going to end up being the mid-range, and they're kind of trying to figure it out. They've run a couple horn sets. They ran in this one where we ran 3 straight in this one, actually. One, they got a dunk, then an offensive foul by Scoot Henderson on a you can't move that much because you're a rookie type of screen. And then they ended up running a pick and roll play and a screen roll. But like Jeremy Grant initiating there, just like simple stuff to get him into the action and be active. And DeAndre Ayton is as setting a screen at the foul line, and Jeremy Grant comes, through a down screen to the rim. So they're kind of both not occupying off the ball the same spot. More creative stuff like that from Billups. More actions where they're either moving through, or if they're spacing, Jeremy Grant spacing a little bit deeper, and they're both not kind of like floating in off ball positions trying to get, okay, Jeremy in the mid post. Oh, whoops, someone's already here in the mid post. Like just crowded spacing that's happened a couple times. That is a player's thing as much as a coach's thing. Like Chauncey can get them in sets that work, but then when the sets break down, the feel will get there too. Like it's going to take both parties, and I think Grant and DA will figure that out. So Malcolm was good. Jeremy Grant was good. I thought Toumani Camara and Jabari Walker were great off the bench tonight. Toumani just knows how to play basketball. He doesn't have a lot on offense. Doesn't have a lot going on. He missed both his threes on the same possession. They were wide open. He's a cutter on offense right now. He's not going to dribble drive. Some of his in-between pull-up game has been a little bit rough. But man, can he play basketball? He just knows where to be on defense. He's aggressive. He'll sit down and guard on the defensive end against players that are, a little bit smaller than him. He's really active on the glass. You'll just watch him cut, and he just cuts hard and with purpose. And he's just a darn good role player. He's a dude who understands how to play basketball, and he plays it at a high level. And I thought Jabari Walker, he finished with just 4 points and 3 boards. But man, he gets after it. My favorite Jabari Walker play, he had a layup that he scored, caught it at about 15 feet, foul line extended, drove to the rim, and finished with his right hand driving through, I believe it was Scotty Barnes' chest. It might have been OG, but one of their big wings. But that play started with him setting a screen on the wrong side, and Malcolm Brogdon yelled at him. It's like, what are you doing? Flip it. And you could see on the broadcast, Malcolm Brogdon was like, what? He said a bad word. I'm not going to repeat it, but he asked him, what the heck? Except more harshly. And Jabari Walker reset the screen, set it. They had to, the ball switches sides of the floor. Walker finds himself, as the ball comes back to the, switching the side of the floor a second time, kind of open for a 17-footer, decides not to take it, drives hard to the rim and finishes. That's a mistake. He didn't run the right play. He didn't run the play correctly, but playing hard covers up mistakes. And the Blazers are going to make a ton of mistakes this year. The way that they win games is covering up with effort. And Jabari Walker's activity got him a bucket there. He had a play where he got a rebound or kept the ball alive in traffic and tipped it to Toumani Camara, who scored a bucket inside. Like he's just active. He's just active and he gets after it. Him and Camara are guys who are probably don't scale up to being, stars, right? Because of the sort of limited offense, not great handle, not great passers. Jabari Walker knows how to pass, but he's not very good at the physical act of passing, but he can read the floor. But they both just they get it, right? the way I'm going to be valuable is to be really active on defense. Toumani Camara had a great block at the rim, being really active on defense. The way I'm going to be valuable is mixing it up. And when I screw up on offense, I'm going to cut hard, make them guard me with my activity. And I thought both Walker and Camara were really good in that sense. They're solid role players. They're young guys kind of figuring it out, and I think if you expand their role, they'll get exposed. Like if you're like, hey, Jabari, we need you to score 15 tonight. It's like, I probably don't have that in the bag. But if the ask is right, and it's like in the Blazers, the ask is going to be weird, but if the ask is right, play hard, rebound, cut when you're supposed to cut, and take open shots when you get them available. Don't force it. Those dudes are going to be nails. Toumani Camara has some defensive versatility that's showing for a second round pick this early in the season to be it's not like he's just like high level player, but to be as useful as he is as a role player, really fun, easy to root for. I've enjoyed the Toumani Camara experience. I've enjoyed the Jabari Walker experience. One guy I haven't mentioned, Scoot Henderson, and we'll talk about him in the third segment, as well as the Blazers' winning formula. They get their first win tonight after 3 straight losses. Did we discover what it takes for them to win? Like, was this formula on display? I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why to close the show. But before we do that, I want to tell you about Gametime. It's the spot for last-minute tickets. Look, the Blazers play Friday night in Portland. They got a game against the Memphis Grizzlies, the first game of the in-season tournaments, and they're going to display this funky new floor. I'll show it on tomorrow's episode. It's outrageous. It is watch it on YouTube. I'll show you an image of it. If not, it's on the internet. You can search it using your preferred search engine. But say you want to go see this funky floor. You listen to tomorrow's episode and you're like, I got to see this floor. I got to see this in action. I can't believe they made this court, this outrageous court. And you decide Friday morning, 11 a.m. Well, there's no better place than the Gametime app. That's the spot for last-minute tickets. They got flash deals, they got zone deals, and they got easy-to-find tickets. And by that, I mean you open up the app, you see the Moda Center graphic and the exact spot where your seat's going to be. You can click on the seat and say, view for my seat, and get a sense of it. They probably won't have the funky court in there, but they'll give you a sense of what it looks like. Plus, what you see is what you get, all in pricing. So if it says $58, that's how much it's going to cost. No hidden fees, no nothing. So why don't you take advantage of this? If it's Friday morning, 11 a.m., and you want to go see the Blazers play in-season tournament game against the Memphis Grizzlies, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the redemption code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Still a pass, first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Scoot Henderson played his best game as a pro. Still struggles a little bit, but finished with 11 points, 7 assists, 6 of them in the third quarter that really turned the tide, gave the Blazers the lead for good. Ended up fouling out. Had a couple just like, you're 19 and they're going to get you fouls. An offensive foul where he moved on a screen. Sorry, Scoot, but you're not allowed to move on screens because you haven't earned the right. Jakob Poeltl on the other end, he's allowed to move on screens. Kevon Looney, he's allowed to move on screens. Young players like Drew Eubanks used to get tagged with it all the time. Drew, not allowed to move on screens. Steven Adams, allowed to move on screens. It's tough. He got one of those. He got another one where he sort of went through Dennis Schroeder, but Schroeder flopped. His sixth foul was he's playing hard, aggressive defense, pressuring the ball in the corner against Pascal Siakam. And Siakam says, shouldn't have done that. Puts his hands out, rips through Scoot's arms and drives past him. And as he drives past him, he kind of slips and yells, foul, 6, you're out of the game. He's got to learn that. He'll learn that. Some of it is just young guy stuff. You're not allowed to move on screens. Dennis Schroeder flops. And some of it is just like, you can't defend with your arms out against a player like him. He's all arms and legs. He's going to run into you. You got to defend. You have to defend with your feet first, and sort of be in the way as opposed to reach out there. And if you put your arms out there against star players in the league, they're going to rip through and get foul calls. It's frustrating. He'll learn. But I thought he was genuinely better in this game. Couple pull-up mid-range jumpers early in the game. Got to the rim on 2 occasions. Only made 4 shots. Three-pointer's still not there. The three-pointer's still not there. He took, in the fourth quarter when the Blazers were playing good defense, getting stops, up by 4 or up by 5, chance to push it. Shaedon Sharpe misses one in transition, and then Scoot comes down and takes just a bad one in transition. And Chauncey Billups said something to him after there was a stoppage right after, and he's like, "What are we doing? Like that is not a good shot." And some of that is just like Scoot's going to learn. If you can't make threes, you certainly don't want to take off the dribble transition 3-pointers. You want to take catch and shoot ones, but he took catch and shoot ones tonight and he missed those too. He's still figuring it out. He really is. But 11 points and 7 assists, that's the game you're pushing towards for Scoot. Unequivocally his best game of the year. Admittedly, we're grading on a curve now, right? Like when you really, 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 really struggle through the first 3 games, you get to grade on a curve. And a night where you still shoot 33% from the floor and score 11 points and finish with 4 turnovers and foul out, that was the best he's looked. It's the best he's looked. Solid. Blazers closed this game with Malcolm Brogdon. They closed this game with Jeremy Grant hitting a big 3. And I thought to myself, is this the winning formula? Is this what a Blazers game looks like? Is this what a Blazers victory looks like? Is this the parts, the formula, the recipe, whatever metaphor you want to use, the concoction that's going to equal a Blazers victory? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this was a win, a fun win, a rewarding win, a game where DA played well and Malcolm Brogdon played well and Jeremy Grant played well, a game where the 2 young forwards off the bench, Blazers' best rookie so far has been Toumani Camara. There's no doubt about it. It's a game where those guys played well, for sure. Undeniable. But I don't think this is necessarily the formula. Some of it is there, though. The Blazers cannot win games in which Jeremy Grant scores under 20. They're just not going to win games. Last year, they had to score 115 to win. It was the only way they could be competitive in games. They needed 115 points. If they didn't score 115, they weren't going to win because they weren't stopping anyone. I don't think the offense is supercharged enough to get that 116th point this year. I think that's pretty unlikely. So the formula has to be simpler. And step 1 of that formula is Jeremy Grant's got to score 20 plus. And he did that tonight. They're just not going to win games if he's 15, 13, even 17 from Jeremy Grant's probably not enough. He's going to need to be in that 20 plus range because there needs to be someone who isn't just, on ball running pick and rolls, which is going to be Malcolm and it's going to be Shea and it's going to be Scoot, who keeps the defense honest. Some floor spacing with some play finishing. Jeremy Grant catches it on the wing, shooting, catching on the wing, getting all the way to the rim, putting pressure on teams with his size, like just more variety. Plus, Jeremy Grant is, at least in theory, their best player, right? Like he needs to be their best player. That's the sort of simple thing. That's step 1. Jeremy Grant's got to score 20 plus, and he probably needs to score in this 21-22 range, if we're being honest, and above. He needs to be averaging in the 23-24 on this team to give them a chance. 2, they need active Deandre Ayton, and they got that tonight. Offense, like I mentioned in the first segment, still a work in progress. They're still figuring it out. Again, I don't know that they will figure it out, but they're certainly in. We're still in the phase where you could say they're trying to figure it out. They might not, but they need him engaged. They need him active. They need him to be. They need him to be like memorably part of the game. He might not score a ton of points. I thought he was going to be much more effective on offense, and maybe he'll get there, but he needs to be active in the game. You need to really feel Deandre Ayton's presence. So step 1, Jeremy Grant, 20 plus. Step 2, an active DA. Step 3, for now, it's Malcolm Brogdon. He has to be good. They don't need him to have massive scoring games, but he has to score in that 17, 18 range. Like, if not more. But I would say 18 points from Malcolm Brogdon is the minimum. 20 for Jeremy Grant, 18 for Malcolm Brogdon, active DA. The vets have to play well. That's like, I'm working my way there, but it's like the vets have to play well. But I don't think this is the formula because the Blazers took 9 less shots. They had, they were good on the glass, 13 offensive rebounds, but the Raptors had 14. Blazers committed 16 turnovers. The Raptors had 12. That at the free throw line, both teams took 15. So like total shooting possessions, field goal attempts plus free throws, Raptors had 109, and the Blazers had 100, plus 9 in the possession battle. The formula has to be the Blazers have more possessions because they're just not going to shoot very well. They're not going to outshoot it. And the Raptors were 4 of 29 from 3. 4 of 29 from 3. That clocks in at a cool 13.8%. You miss 25 three-pointers, you're going to lose. Raptors had a chance because Blazers don't score a ton of points, but like I said, like I don't think this is the game to point to be like, okay, just do that again. Because just like random chance on even like a bad shooting night, the Raptors are going to make 3 to 6 more three-pointers, right? Like probably 6 more on a random night. 10 of 29 isn't exactly like a great shooting night, but let's call it 3 more. They go 7 of 29. That's the ball game, right? That's 9 points. You won by 8. And that's just like, that includes an intentional foul at the end and a scramble late for what was an ugly game. Like, I think this isn't the formula necessarily. The formula is there. Win the possession battle, so you take more shots than the other team. And the vets play well, and you don't get hyper negative games from Scoot Henderson, and you have a chance. I think the Blazers played Detroit and they played Memphis in the next 2 games. Both are winnable for sure. Those are winnable games to get back to 3-3. But I think we will know more at the end of this week what the formula looks like. It's something I'll track as we move on in the early season. Like, what do the wins look like? Kind of know what the losses look like. They get out of hand in a hurry. But what do the wins look like? And once we kind of figure it out, we'll narrow it down and we'll know that you got to score 115 or you got to whatever it might be. But I really do think it's the vets playing well to carry the kids and winning the possession battle. I think this game was just, I think they played well. They played hard. They gave themselves an opportunity, and the Raptors shot a whole ton of bricks, and you do not have to give it back. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to give it back. You just take the win and say, you guys shot a bunch of bricks. Peace out. And then you stay overnight in Toronto before you head to Detroit for Wednesday's game. Okay, tomorrow's show, we'll talk about what we've learned through the Blazers' first 4 games. And we'll talk a little bit about the in-season tournament that's coming up, as well as a look ahead to the Detroit Pistons on who they play on Wednesday night to wrap up this quick 3-game trip. 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts. The only daily Trailblazers podcast. So tell your friends about it. If you're this deep into the show after their first win and you've enjoyed it, tell your friends about it. It's the best way to support the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.